how did that make you feel actually when they told you that that's not what you're supposed to do?
I was a little bummed out. I was sad about it, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, but ever since I was a little girl, I've always been very relentless. And so when somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm very stubborn. I'm still like this, where like someone will be like, I don't think you should do that. I'm like, I'm gonna find out for myself. I think that's like
Yeah.
not that I'm into like astrology stuff. I think that's the Scorpio part of me. It's just like, well, yeah, I'm gonna figure it out. But now with AI in the scene, it's changing a lot, and we're kind of in this like Chaz Wilson, another friend of mine, he is calling it the trust recession,
Mhm.
and I'm like, ooh, that's so fascinating. And so I mean, now AI can design a good funnel, a good looking funnel for you. So I tell people like, yes, good design does help the conversions, but at the same time, really is the heart and the copy and the messaging that really gets people and gets them through and gets them going to the next step. Growing up, I was taught a few things. I was taught that when you pursue the arts, you're always going to be a starving artist. I was taught that you're always going to be overworked and underpaid. That you essentially spend your whole life creating only to get rejected, only to have people lowball you and not value you. I was taught all these things as creatives, and I mean creatives, and I say creatives. I believe that everybody is born creative. I also acknowledge that some people live more into that identity than other people do, right? So when I say creatives, I'm talking about people who are like really pursuing this as like a career, lifestyle, or whatever. A lot of people struggle with these mindsets and limiting beliefs because this is what we're taught, and you see it in movies and pop culture all the time too, right? The artists are always the weird ones that are off on their own, they're outcasts, and they're always broke, they're always starving. It really took some significant mindset shifts to be like, okay, I can make a living from this.
All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Brainwashed To Be Broke series. Today's guest is someone who's helped hundreds of people overcome tech overwhelm and tap into their creativity, even if they swore they weren't design people. She's a Canva and ClickFunnels ambassador with 16 years in the creative space, working with nonprofits, agencies, and eight-figure entrepreneurs like Pedro Adawo and Brendan Turner. Whether she's helping you build your first funnel or cheering you on through the process, she's that real blend of tech wizard and creative coach you actually want in your corner. Super excited to have her here. Welcome to the show, Alice Aviles.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm so
Thank you
honored to
so
be
much.
here.
Thank you so much for being here. It's just my
Yeah.
pleasure to have you here. And I'm super excited for this conversation. We've been planning this for a couple of weeks already, and um, you have some amazing stories to share for sure. And lately, you've been speaking on some awesome stages with amazing people. And but before, also I have prepared like questions for you and so on. But before we dive into those questions and dive into whatever topic we would love to talk about, um, what is your story and how did you get into entrepreneurship and how did it all look like for you in the beginning?
Oh, that's a really good question. So, hi everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so honored to be here. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Alyssa, but my friends call me Liz. And I have been a creative pretty much my whole life. I was always drawing and sketching and painting, and I would paint on guitars and I would paint on shoes and I would sell my art at coffee shops and I would have my art in museums. And when I went to college, I knew I wanted to do graphic design in some sort of way. And I needed to get into a graphic design program. And I don't want to take up a ton of your time telling my story because there's a lot of pieces to my story. I have the full story over on YouTube. I'm giving you guys like the very short bit of it because I know Adam has some really good questions. But essentially, I wanted to learn graphic design and I needed to get into a graphic design program at the university I was going to. So I had joined this faith-based organization on campus, and the guy there was like, "Hey, I'll pay for Adobe Creative Suites if you teach yourself graphic design." And at that time, if you guys aren't familiar with Adobe, that is like one of the biggest creative design softwares out there. And back then it was like $700 or $800 for a bunch of CDs. And I was like, yes, I'm a broke college student. I would love to teach myself design. I'll design for you guys if you buy that for me. So I started teaching myself design, and YouTube wasn't a thing then. So I really just had to kind of play with it. So while I'm doing this, my dad had given me a camera And I was doing photography for fun. I was just taking pictures of my friends and my family and didn't charge anything for it. And one day at the coffee shop I was working at, because I was a barista as well, I had a lot going on. You can see there's a lot of different pieces. At the coffee shop I was working at, we had jazz nights every Wednesday, one of my favorite nights to work. And one of the musicians came up to me because he always saw me with my camera. He was like, "Hey, I really want you to shoot our wedding. Like, I love you. I love your style. And I want to pay you to shoot our wedding." And I was like, "I've never been paid for photography before. Like, okay. I feel kind of weird about it. I don't even know what to charge for this, but sure, why not?" So I shot my very first beach wedding for $150. And if any of you are in the photography industry, you're probably cringing already, but I didn't know. And this was a friend of mine. So it was a very small, intimate wedding. And that was the first time that I realized, wow, I could turn this into a business. Like, I went into college with the mindset of I could be a graphic designer and have a career in this, but when it came to the photography thing, and it was just something I was having a lot of fun with and being passionate about, the idea of charging for that just it didn't run across my mind at all. And so after he paid me, I started charging to do photography, and I started doing headshots and portraits, and I did more weddings. I eventually realized I hated shooting weddings. And so then I just really stayed in the portraiture side of things. But then agencies started hiring me to do photography. Nonprofits started hiring me to do photography for their marketing stuff. And so then I started kind of learning the marketing on the photography side of business. And all while I'm doing this, I'm also still learning graphic design and trying to get into a graphic design program. Long story short, the 4-year university I went to, I got denied from their graphic design program. So I had to graduate with a different degree. I ended up going to a 2-year community college to actually professionally learn graphic design. And by the time I graduated from that program, I had multiple job offers from various agencies. The college hired me to do a few things. So my story really turned around. And so I was doing photography, I was doing graphic design now, charging for both. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to start freelancing. There's a lot of demand. It's going to be awesome. The only issue was that I knew nothing about business or entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
And so I was constantly in this struggle
Mhm.
of really living not even paycheck to paycheck, because most of the time I was in the negative and it was really, really hard. So freelancing was a fail. I had to, find a job. My first professional, graphic design full-time position paid $35,000, no benefits. I was working like crazy. It destroyed my mental health. It destroyed my health in many ways. And after a few years, I quit that, started freelancing again. And this is where things really took a turn. So I met with a friend of mine who's a coach, and she was like, "You need a mentor in your life." And I was like, "Mentors cost a lot of money that I don't have." And so she was like, "But I promise you need a mentor in your life." And she was working with Lisa Nichols at the time. I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with Lisa Nichols, really big name. She's an amazing speaker and author and whatnot. And she's like, "You've got to find a mentor." So I started looking around and I thought I found one, but she wasn't really a good fit. And I'm looking on Facebook one day, doom scrolling, and I come across this ad that just like stops me in my tracks. It's really good copy, and it's about the tug of war between being a Christian and wanting to make money as an entrepreneur, and how the church doesn't really always, they like to ask for money from the entrepreneurs, but they also don't really do much to help entrepreneurs, right? And so it's this like tug of war. And I love this guy's copy. He was running a free 30-day challenge. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get inside this group. I join his group. I fall in love with the community. I fall in love with his trainings. And this guy, his name is Pedro Deo. So he makes an offer to join a 12-month membership. And I'm like, okay, sure, why not? So I sell everything that I can in our house because we were broke. We were living off of credit cards and a lot of debt already. And I sold whatever I could. I was married at this time. My husband was like, just sell whatever you can sell, collectibles and whatnot. So sell whatever, got in the program, and Pedro would teach. He would drop like a Word document in the group, and I would take that and I would make it look really pretty. I would just turn it around and make it look really nice in a document, because that's how I am. I'm a very visual person, and I would put it back in the community for free. He didn't ask me to do this. I just did it because I knew if it helped me, it would help other people. So I did this for weeks, and and we eventually met. I flew out to California and whatnot, and he called me one day and he was like, are you doing this? Like, are you taking my stuff and making it look good? And I'm like, yeah, I promise it's just in the community. I'm not sharing it anywhere else. He's like, no, no, no. I love this. Like, do you want to design for me? Like, design with me. And I'm still leaving bits and pieces out of the story. There's some other really powerful parts of the story, but I was like, yeah, why not? So I actually designed for him for a year for free, which I know is going to sound crazy. I know this sounds crazy. Long story short,
So good.
God told me to design for him for free for a year, and I was like, God, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but I'm going to be obedient in this. So I did that. And eventually, like, and mind you, he did try to pay me the whole time. Anytime I tell the story, I have to let people know he did try to pay me the whole time. Okay. It's not like he was taking advantage of my generosity. So eventually, like, I did start, billing him. And at that time, he wasn't really like well known in the marketing space. Then 2020 happened and we ran a challenge. And so I'm sure many of you guys who are listening to this podcast now, if you're familiar in the marketing space, you see online challenges all the time. And Pedro ran a challenge and it did really, really well. I want to say on the back end of that challenge, we had done like a 5 day, was it 5 day or maybe it was longer? We had done a challenge and it made us $2 million dollars on the back end, which at that time was unheard of. That was like a really big deal in the marketing space. So other marketers started getting wind of that. And before we knew it, Pedro got famous and started doing challenges with Russell Brunson and consulting with people like Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins. And then we did challenges with like Damon John and some of the other Shark Tank people. And he's done all these challenges with all these other big name people, and I was his designer that whole time. So I got to grow with him as he got well
Mhm.
known. I got to grow and design for a lot of these people, and my life has totally changed since then. So he introduced me to funnel design. I totally forgot to mention that.
Mhm.
So I not only was doing like graphic design for him, but I was also doing funnel design. And now over the last few years, I've been building funnels, I've been designing stuff. I started using Canva. That's a whole nother story. Maybe we can talk about that. Started using Canva, became ambassador for Canva and ClickFunnels, and that's where we're at today. I don't work with Pedro full time anymore. I still do help him,
Mhm.
but I help a lot of other big name people at the same time, which is super fun. It's really cool. And there are times where I'm like, wow, I can't believe that this is my life now. Like I never would have imagined it being this way, but I'm so grateful that these things happen in my life to get to this point. And it went a totally different direction than what I was told my life would be, right? And like it went a totally different direction than what a typical graphic design career looks like. So, that's a little long-winded of an answer,
So good.
but
Yeah.
that
No,
should give you a
amazing.
little
I
bit of a
love it.
background.
Totally. That's awesome. Yeah. So what are you doing now, actually?
So
Product.
now majority of what I'm doing is funnel design.
Hmm.
I love to go in when people hire me. It's typically I'm going in and cleaning up funnels. I'm refreshing funnels. I'm rebranding funnels. A lot of people when they get started really fast and they just do whatever they can, and it works for them, which is great. But then at some point you want to kind of like up level how you look, and you want to come across as more professional and more well branded. So I like to go in there and do that as well. So it's a lot of fun. I was doing websites too, but I just announced on Facebook I'm no longer going to do websites. I'm kind of fully pivoting into funnels because funnels convert better. They really do. And there's a lot more strategy and science behind funnel design.
Hmm.
And the issue that I was kind of having, just like in full transparency, is when I was building websites, I would get everything I need. I would build the website and then I'd be like, here's the website. And then it would take a really long time for people to get back to me to approve stuff. Like it wasn't as much of an urgent need for businesses. It was just kind of like, oh, it's nice to have a newer website, but they were really taking their time with it, which isn't ideal when you're on the other side as a designer.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like people that run funnels, they understand the need to get it done, the urgency, like what it can do. So I'm fully pivoting now into funnel design.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say that funnel design helping um convert like properly design funnel helping convert better?
Yeah, 100%. You know what? I know there's a lot of argument for
Hmm.
ugly funnels too. Like I see this talk all the time where people are like, well, ugly funnels convert better than beautiful funnels. And I'm like, Sure, maybe. And you know what? When I first saw that ad from Pedro,
Yep.
the funniest thing is when I first saw that ad, I clicked on it and it went to a funnel and it was ugly. I mean, like fonts are all because he designed it. It like fonts are all over the place. The sizing's all weird. It's a weird experience on mobile. So I ended up actually getting off my phone and going on my computer to do the link instead because it was just such a bad mobile experience. I got on my computer and I looked him up and he had no branding. Like he had no website, no professional anything. I mean, nothing. And I
Hmm.
was like, that's a little weird. So it was kind of like a red flag for me.
Yeah.
And then when I went through his funnel, it was ugly. So then that was another red flag for me. Then I filled out the application on his funnel and I go to submit it and it wasn't working. And that was kind of like another I'm saying red flags, but it's funny
Yep.
because
Yeah.
I ended up doing it and now look at my life, right? Um, like but what he wrote worked. And so the thing with funnels is Russell Brunson always says, like, if your funnel's not converting, it's always the hook, story, or offer.
Hmm.
And there are design things that you can do that help
Hmm.
really emphasize the hook, story, and offer.
Hmm.
There's definitely a design strategy with it.
Hmm.
I would say nowadays it's such an interesting combo to have.
Hmm.
Nowadays, like I would lean more towards people do tend to go towards things that look more professional,
Hmm.
right? Versus just kind of thrown together and it is what it is. Um, but now with AI in the scene, it's changing a lot,
Hmm.
and we're kind of in this like uh, Chaz Wilson, another friend of mine, he is calling it the trust recession,
Hmm.
and I'm like, ooh, that's so fascinating. And so, I mean, now AI can design a good funnel, a good looking funnel for you. So I tell people like, yes, good design does
Hmm.
help the conversions, but at the same time, really is the heart and the copy and the messaging that
Hmm.
really gets people and gets them through and gets them going to the next step. So you kind of have to have,
Yeah.
strategy and balance, I guess, with
Balance it.
both.
Yeah. 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 Totally makes sense. Yeah. All right. So that said, now I would love to go a little bit back to the beginning of yours and how your kind of childhood looked like when it comes to, because now you live in Florida,
Mhm.
right? But how did you move and where are you actually coming from? What is the
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was born in New York. My
Hmm.
my parents, we lived in New York, and my dad's a doctor, and so we grew up in this small town in New York. We lived there for several years. I'm pretty sure it was like the first 6 years of my life, and then my dad decided to, move us down here to Florida,
Hmm.
and we've lived in Florida ever since. My husband and I right now are trying to figure out how to move out of Florida. We're kind of looking for
Really?
a change of scenery. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
we're looking into moving to California. We're trying to figure that
Oh,
out right now.
yeah.
And so yeah, we grew up in, and I, to be honest, I don't really remember that much of New York. Like I
Hmm.
remember like a few things here and there, but I would definitely consider myself more of like a Florida girl. And my parents have always been super encouraging of me being in the arts. Like they knew
Yep.
when I was a child that I'm an artsy
Hmm.
kid. Like when you look at all my childhood photos, I am in the most colorful clothing. I'm in this like tie-dye outfits, these very vibrant outfits. I'm always making silly faces. My parents, when we moved to Florida, they took us to Disney. And so like, I mean, if you couldn't tell already with my background, and if you're just listening to this podcast, my background is like Lego and Baby Yoda and Fallout and like all these like nerdy things behind me. I blame my parents for my love of nerdy stuff
Yeah.
because yeah.
Yeah.
uh,
I see that
so
one.
let's see. Oh yeah, the child. Look at that. That's awesome. That's so cool. Oh yeah, I just realized his face is being covered a little bit by the toothless hat,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah.
Is
So
it?
so I grew up very like nerdy, and I have two younger brothers, and
Right.
we grew up, with like Game Boys and the GameCube and all that stuff. So I grew up very, very nerdy, playing Legos and video games. And I was still an outdoorsy kid at the same time. But my parents always had me when I was little. I was in dance classes, and then they had me in like painting classes and drawing classes, and then like arts and crafts classes. So they really, really encouraged the arts. Now when it came time for me to like actually get a degree,
Hmm.
we definitely differed there for a bit. And to be honest, in the beginning, this always surprises people. I really wanted to be a veterinarian. Like I was dead set on being a vet. And because I love animals. Like if it were up to me, I would have a lot of animals in this house, but my husband's like, "No, a dog is good enough." Um, but anytime like I go to like a shelter or I'm at the pet store. I'm like, oh, this bird's so cute, or like, oh, I want this fit.
Nice.
I love animals,
Mm.
and so I actually really wanted to like become a veterinarian. And I like in high school, I would be watching all these like Animal Planet TV shows and like ER Vet, and I would be like renting books from the library to learn about veterinary medicine. And I mean, like I was really into it until it came time to like go to college, and then I
Mm.
was like. I think I would rather pursue the arts. And my parents at first are like, no, like you're gonna be a starving artist. There's not a lot of money to be made, even though I mean, they supported me
Mhm.
the whole way through,
Mhm.
like with arts and crafts, and I was in the color guard in high school and
Mhm.
they were extremely supportive of it. But then when it came time for me to actually pursue it
Mhm.
as like a career and actually go into that field, they had a lot of concerns for good reason, right? Like and it wasn't only them saying that, it was also like the school that I went to and many of the students I was with. I was convinced that I would always be a starving artist because that's what they teach you, right? Your whole
Yep.
your whole podcast is brainwashed to be broke. Like that was very true. Like growing up is like, hey, if you pursue anything in the arts, you're never gonna make money with
Mhm.
it. Like,
Mhm.
don't pursue being an artist. Don't even bother being an artist. And I found that it's not true.
Mhm.
I know it's hard. It's really
Mhm.
hard in the creative space, but there's more than being a starving artist. Like, it's not completely true.
How did that make you feel actually when they told you that that's not what you're supposed to do?
I was a little bummed out. I was sad about it, and I was like,
Yep.
well, but ever since I was a little girl, I've always been very relentless. And so when
Mhm.
somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm very stubborn. I'm
Yep.
still like this, where like someone will be like, I don't think you should do that. I'm like, I'm gonna find out for myself. I
Yeah.
think that's like
Yeah.
not that I'm into like astrology. So I think that's the Scorpio part of me. It's just like, well, yeah, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you so much, so much. You wouldn't believe when I've been in a school like
Uh-huh.
seven grade, I think seven. Yeah, a teacher told me that I should ever never ever leave a country, like my original country, because I can't speak
Really?
English at all.
What?
And not that I can speak English at all. It
Uh-huh.
was just basically that I'm totally dumb on languages. That was like literally what they
Oh.
said to me.
Oh my
And the
gosh.
first thing that I did once I graduated, uh, high school, I didn't even went to uni.
Mm-hmm.
I literally moved to a different country, and
Mm-hmm.
that was the moment that everything started. It was so funny, so funny, and so
That's so
weird
funny.
also. I'd be like always, but with everything around my life, it was always like somebody told me that I shouldn't do something, and
Hmm.
anyway, I just always did it. Like I tested.
Yeah, you test it.
Yeah.
I I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know some people would be like, "Oh, that's not wisdom," but
Well,
I love it because it's like sometimes we need to fail to learn,
hmm,
and we have to try these things out. Like we're never gonna know until we actually like take action and
yeah.
step in it and so thank you for sharing that. That's
No, no,
that's that's interesting.
totally fine. Yeah. So also, I wanted to just mention some like what I heard when you've been talking, what you've been talking about when you know, I feel like when you share that you don't know if the design is going to work in the like or help those conversions.
Mhm.
Um, you won't. I think it's like it's anyway with everything what you do, any services, anything. Like the first attempt that you do, it's always it's always gambling kind of,
Mhm.
because even though you have a bunch of results, you don't know if those results will actually help you or even affect the way that the person that you want to help is actually going to be able, like, it's gonna
Mhm.
help him to actually make it like or increase the probability of succeeding, because his audience can like be a little bit different way than, for example, the others. So
Mhm.
I think I would say that most of the time when you're starting, for example, like, or if it's even first client or hundredth client, it's the first attempt that you do. It's always guesswork, kind of,
Yeah.
and then you need to be really good at understanding numbers to actually know what to adjust, because then you can
Mhm.
start adjusting and bring the results what you want.
Mhm.
Would you agree on that?
Yeah, and what's so interesting, this is the beauty and pain of marketing,
Hmm.
is you have to test a lot of different things. And because there's
Hmm.
so many different moving pieces, it's not just the funnel, right? It's also the ads. Ads are a really huge thing. So, for example, with Pedro, we have a in-house full-time media buyer that her and I, we work very, very closely together. And now she does the ads and she's constantly tracking all the data and all the things, and we have all these like crazy things that we have attached to the funnel, so we don't
Hmm.
necessarily look at the ClickFunnels data. We're looking at other data more so to really get like a clear defined picture. But we are constantly testing things in the ads, and then we're constantly testing things in the funnel, and it definitely varies client to client because I don't do the ad side of things. I just strictly focus on the funnel. And I'll give you an example. So this past month, I have one client that I've been helping for like a year now, and they just hired me for essentially like funnel. I call it funnel maintenance, and it's I go in, I do some split testing for them every month when they run their challenge, and we were constantly testing out. Majority of the time, it's headlines. So when personally when I split test stuff with clients, I leave the design stuff last.
Hmm.
So it's because at this point I'm kind of like, well, we got it's typically headline first. So we test the headlines. And after we do that, pending on the type of funnel it is, we might test doing a opt-in on a pop-up or like, an embedded. I like to do video versus image testing. But majority of the time I'm always testing headlines first before I even do any of the design stuff. And this one client that I've been working with for the last year, their conversions have gone down a bit. And I'm like, well, is it like the ads? Is it really the funnel? Like this funnel was converting very, very well for majority of this year that I've been working with them. And so then we thought maybe it was because we had switched from ClickFunnels Classic to 2.0. We thought maybe the numbers and data was being really weird there. So we've been working with the ClickFunnels team to look at that data and whatnot. But this past week, we ran a headline that converted really well like
Hmm.
months ago,
Hmm.
and it wasn't doing good at all. Like on cold traffic, it was like 7% on cold traffic. And I was like, well, we need to up this. So the first thing I want to do is test that headline. So I gave them a new headline, and overnight it went to 14%.
Hmm.
And so like I mean, and it was just all we did was change the headline, nothing else. And so I always tell people like when you're doing marketing things, you have to be willing to test this new stuff. Majority of the time it is the messaging that is off. And yes, the design does make an impact. Like we've done testing where the opt-in being in a pop-up converts better than it being on the page. And in
Hmm.
some other cases and clients, it being on the page converted better than it being on a pop-up.
Yep.
So it definitely varies per client, it varies with the audience. But majority of the time, the messaging is what really, really, really makes a
Hmm.
difference.
Hmm.
But it does help when like you understand the strategy
Hmm.
and I think like part of the advantage I have when it comes to working with clients is I'm not just a funnel designer, I'm a branding expert as well. And so
Yep.
when people come to me, and the first thing I do is I'm like, okay, well, let's hop on a call and see what you have now.
Hmm.
And I'll send them, if I don't like hop on a Zoom with them and walk them through stuff, I'll send them a Loom video and I'll break down like, okay, here's what I'm seeing now, and here's personally what I would change.
Hmm.
And if I was this person, I always think in the shoes of the audience.
Yep.
And in the place of the audience, like, okay, if I saw this, I would be really confused because this doesn't make sense. I don't
Hmm.
even see the date on the funnel. I can't
Yep.
tell if it's free or paid. I can't tell. So I walk them through like all of this stuff from a branding perspective, but then also a funnel perspective at the same time. So yeah, it's fun. I think that's what makes it fun too. And I think that's why I also really love funnels more than websites, is because it's kind of fun getting to geek out over the numbers and seeing what's working and seeing what's not working and how it changes client to client.
Yeah. Yeah. Funnel and combination. That's pretty cool, actually. But
right?
yeah. So let's let's go back into that time when you've been literally figuring out the design piece,
Mhm.
when you've been supported with your parents. And so when actually happened that you realize that, you know, the system wasn't built to make you free, actually?
Okay, this is a good conversation. This is a really good conversation. Because most creatives and most artists, they want to be free. They just want to be free to create. And and for me, I wasn't making a lot of money off of like my painted shoes and guitars and things like that. And I knew I needed to do something else. So like while I was painting, I was also barista. My dream was actually to own the coffee shop that I worked at. That didn't work out. That's a whole nother part of my story. And then when the whole photography thing happened and I learned that I could get paid for the photography, I was like, okay, this is now changing my mindset and seeing and believing that I can make something of this. And so growing up, I was taught a few things. I was taught that when you pursue the arts, you're always going to be a starving artist. I was
Mhm.
taught that you're always going to be overworked and underpaid. That you essentially spend your whole life creating only to get rejected, only to have people lowball you and not value you. I was taught all these things as creatives, and I mean creatives, and I say creatives. I believe that everybody is born creative. I also acknowledge that some people live more into that identity than other people do, right? So
Yeah.
when I say creatives, I'm talking about people who are like really pursuing this as like a career, lifestyle, or whatever. A lot of people like struggle with these mindsets and limiting beliefs because this is what we're taught, and you see it in movies and pop culture all the time too, right? The artists are always the weird ones that are off on their own, they're outcast, and they're always broke, they're always starving, you know. And so it really took some significant mindset shifts to be like, okay, I can make a living from this. But the other thing was you know, the work, the like I was taught that freelancing wasn't a viable thing. I was taught that you have to have a 9 to 5. You should stay in a 9 to 5. That's the best way to do it. If you freelance, you fail. That
Mhm.
was, I mean, that's really what I was encouraged and taught in college and high school and all that stuff. It was like, don't go the freelancing route. You're gonna fail. Freelancers just can't do all this stuff. You got to stick in the 9 to 5. And while I was in design school, I was interning as a graphic designer for a church. And so I kind of saw behind the scenes with it. I didn't really like it. And then when I did fail at freelancing and I had to get that first full-time job, I was miserable, man. I was so miserable. And I mean, it got to the point where I would be out with my husband, we would be shopping somewhere, and I would look at the price of something and I would just break down in tears. And I'm like, I can't even afford this. Like I'm working so hard. I'm just barely making ends meet, trying to pay bills, and I would really like this, but I can't even afford it. And I don't even have time to create or like paint or anything like that. I don't have time to do all this stuff. So when I decided to kind of take the gamble and go back into freelancing, I quit that job after having a few emotional breakdowns. I quit that job to pursue my own thing and give the freelancing thing another shot. And I'll be honest, there are days where sometimes I'm like, I it would be fun to like work full time with a company like ClickFunnels or Canva,
Yeah.
like companies that I align with and
Mhm.
we're in the same values and I could
Mhm.
partner with. I
Mhm.
think like I and please hear me out, anyone that's listening to this. I'm not saying that 9 to 5 full-time careers are bad. I'm not saying that at all. It that is perfect for some people, but what I'm trying to say is it's not for everybody. And what I found is like I have more flexibility, maybe not necessarily freedom yet, but I have more flexibility doing what I'm doing now.
Mhm.
And with my health issues, like I'm super grateful that I have the life that I have now because, like I have PCOS, I have hypothyroidism. There are days when I wake up and my body, I'm just like in a lot of pain and like I can't be sitting at my desk for hours a day designing. I need to sit in bed. And if I was working a 9 to 5, I want to be able to do that. And so accidentally kind of coming into this has really shifted how I view this narrative as being taught to like a younger generation, other people that are entering this field because they're being taught like there's only one path, it's
Mhm.
only this way. You could be a starving artist or you could do really well. Who knows? It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you've been in that job, basically, what did determine that, like, or how did you actually, how did it make you like feel, and why you wanted to move out? What is the like the vision that you have to actually what you want to do in the life, and what it means to you?
So when I had taken that first graphic design job, right, for 35K, I got hired on as a graphic designer.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give too many details of the company because I don't want them by any
No.
chance like coming back and getting me. But um I went in as a graphic designer. Then they found out I could do photography. So then I became the graphic designer and the photographer.
Yeah.
Then they handled a lot of their own in-house printing. And so we would do our own packaging, printing, and we would do our own stickers. And
Mhm.
it was we had multiple
Yeah.
locations. So like we had printers to do car wraps and windows. So I would design that stuff and hand it to our in-house printer. Well, because the workplace was so crazy, the in-house printer, she quit. So what happens? I'm the only person that has been with her this whole time learning. So now all of a sudden, I'm the graphic designer, I'm the photographer, and now I'm the in-house printing person. And I have to print out the decals for the windows and the car wraps. Then I have to apply the car wraps, and I'm doing the bottle labeling and like all this stuff. So now it's like I have three jobs. Then they decide we need to start doing social media. So you know the most about social media, so you should help us with social media. So then I start doing that. So now I'm doing technically four different positions. And they had a website person at the time. And so I just did like graphic design photography to get to the website person. But they didn't give me a raise. They didn't pay me
Mhm.
any more for it. So I replaced all these people, but I didn't get paid for it. And so that was what was super damaging to my mental health was
Yeah.
I'm doing all of these things
Mhm.
and they're not giving me a raise. They're not paying me more. And at that point, I'm not just a graphic designer. I'm technically a creative director. I'm the only, besides the website person, I'm the only other person at the company that is doing all this stuff. And
Mhm.
then, oh, I forgot to mention, also at that time, YouTube was a big thing. So they wanted to get into the YouTube game. So then I'm recording videos for the YouTube channel. So it was just messy. And that's when I was like, this isn't fair. This isn't normal. It's not
Mhm.
normal and it's not fair. And so I hem and hawed on it for a while and I was talking with my husband about it. And my husband was like, "Look, I think you should quit." My husband's a mental health therapist. So, I would come home and I would be
Wow.
like bawling my eyes. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd be like bawling my eyes out and whatnot. He's like, I love you. Your mental health is not great. I really think you should quit. We'll figure out the money. Don't even worry about it. And I went back and forth on it for a while. And then finally I wrote out my 2 week notice
Mhm.
and I went to the CEO. He wasn't there that morning, but I put my 2 week notice on his desk and I went into the office to go do the work I needed to go do. And he walked in with the 2 week notice paper and he's like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Well, it's my time. I just can't do this anymore." And he's like, "Well, we should talk about it." And I was like, "Hey, I've already made
Ooh.
my mind. This
The,
is this
yeah,
is where I'm at."
I feel
Yeah.
the power behind that.
And him and I were, I mean, we were close
Yeah.
and like we would get lunch together all the time. Like
Mhm.
so I know it was a shock to him when I did that. And so I worked for a few days and I had requested time off to go take this other meeting because at this time I was trying to figure out I need to start freelancing and building up clients. So I had taken the day off. The team knew I had taken the day off. CEO did not know. He didn't get the memo for whatever reason. So I taken the day off. I'm with this client. I'm driving back to the office so I can like do some stuff for them, even though technically I'm on my day off. And I get a phone call from the VP of the company, and the VP is like, "Hey, CEO doesn't want you to come back in. Don't. He doesn't even want you to finish your 2 weeks. Don't like
Wow.
we'll pay you, but he doesn't want you to come back in." And I was like, "Okay, that's it." So I went home and I was like, wow, this is weird. I don't have a job. I don't even really have my own business,
Right.
like
Yeah.
it's such a weird place to be in. And funny enough, they did end up having to hire like three other people to replace me when I left.
Yeah.
And I still kept in touch with all my coworkers and they're, we still keep in touch to this day. We've trauma bonded, but it was wild, man. It ate me up.
Right. So yeah, tell me about that. How like what was the feeling when you know when you left, and now there is no path. back for
Yeah,
sure, and but there is no path forward. Like you don't know
it's
what to do
scary.
now, right? What
Hmm.
was it for you?
It was this weird feeling of being really scared because I was really scared because I didn't like my husband doesn't make enough money as a mental health therapist, and we have a lot of bills we have to pay,
Mhm.
and we have a lot of debt that we had already accrued that we needed to pay. And so I was really scared because I had no income coming in. And then at the same time, I did have peace about the decision that I had made. And so it was this weird tension of being like scared and nervous because of the unknown, but also having peace and a weight lifted off my shoulders of I don't have to go back to this place. I'm not going to be overworked anymore. Nobody tells me what I have to do. And like, but at the same time, now it's also on me to figure out what's next.
Right.
And so it was just this weird tension with all these feelings, but in an odd way, that is what motivated me and drove me to start posting more on social media. And also at that time, like I had started a co-working, some friends of mine, we got together and we started our city's first co-working space because I knew I needed a space outside of my apartment to be able to work and focus and I wanted to create a community for artists. And so we started this co-working space. So I had gone over there to start doing stuff there. And so it was a weird time. I'm not gonna lie. It was a very like weird time of just trying to figure out like
Yeah.
what works, what doesn't work, and then getting clients. And at that time, I was offering website design and graphic design and photography. And thankfully, I had started working with a good friend of mine with a local agency that he has, Verse Creative. They were amazing to work with. So he ended up hiring me, and like a few months after I had left the other job and that I was able to like make some money and I would do websites and some graphics and I did mostly photography for that agency before I ended up pivoting and then meeting Pedro and whatnot. So it did work out, but
Yep.
it was a weird it's so weird when you're in that place of like
Oh yeah.
the unknown,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
What belief did you have to like let go after that moment?
Um, that's a good question. I feel like I had to really overcome. Well, the starving artist thing was a big thing because when you don't have a job, you don't have
Mhm.
money coming in, then all
Yep.
of a sudden that the whole starving artist thing comes back and it's like you're back to ground zero. Like
Yep.
you're back to being a starving artist and you're back to living paycheck to paycheck and you're back. So that was a really big one was really trying to overcome that and being like, okay, because with the starving artist mindset comes a poverty mindset and believing that you don't deserve money
Hmm.
and that you're not good enough to make money and you'll never be good enough to make money. And so I had a lot of money trauma with it. And to be honest, like I'm still working through money trauma, even as I'm growing and I'm building my wealth and I'm making more than I have in the past. Like I'm still going through growing pains with it and being like,
Hmm.
okay, this is normal. Like
Yeah.
it's all right to feel these things. But I really had to overcome the starving artist is a big thing for a lot of creative people, and with all the things that come with that. The other sort of belief was that I'm not deserving of good things, like I'm not deserving of getting a good career because I had been so mentally and emotionally abused with what I was doing and like what I was told and the amount of rejection I had and all of that. I really had to overcome that stuff as well. And then even in my personal life, we don't have children, but it's just my husband and I and so then I was also really struggling with, my husband deserves better. I feel like I'm not doing what I could be doing as a wife, and I feel bad that he's a mental health therapist and he has to come home to me crying majority of the time and being depressed.
It's
He's already dealing with all these patients and he's got me.
it's very
So,
important. It's very important in even in my experience to have
mhm,
somebody who is behind, like who is with you there and
mhm,
helping you, along the way on the journey because
mhm,
it can you really going to be for at least for the beginning if you have some like minds and troubles you
mhm,
won't go out there and be around lots of like people,
Hmm.
entrepreneurs. I had this type of issue that I had to like I thought, that I have to be like kind of alone, and I've been studying so much stuff, especially like those four years of the
Hmm.
beginning. But in the end, like business is more like a relationship kind of thing,
Hmm.
that there is playing lots of like with business there is lots of to do, like the relationship piece, because and networking and so on. So and I would say that that was one of the biggest parts
Hmm.
of on my journey that actually like led me to where I am right now and how I see myself and what I do.
Hmm.
Because I love that quote, or the this type of thing, what I'm not sure now who said that, but basically that you are becoming the average of the five people that you're spending most time with,
Hmm.
and you always should have somebody around yourself who's going to um increase your being, who you
Hmm.
want to become, and so on. So this is super powerful to actually have this type of like motivation around you, and also like accountability, I would say.
Hmm.
And yeah, do you have like are you spending time with people like that? Like, do you have for example, five people or some type of group that you are all the time with, and not all the time, but most
Yeah.
of the time? Yeah.
I love that you say that because it's such a big piece because when I was in that transition period of leaving that job and then figuring out what was next, I didn't really have that. I kind of had it, but I had my husband who's super supportive, super
Mhm.
encouraging. I love my husband. He's a great guy. And he's always been very supportive of me and doing what I'm doing. And I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today if it wasn't for that support and encouragement, right? So he's always in my corner. He's definitely one of my people. But when I was in that weird transition, right, my friend that I had lunch with who told me you need a mentor, my life changed because of that one meeting I had with her. And we weren't best friends. We were just kind of like getting to know each other. And
Mhm.
so I had my best friends were all from college. Like, and I love them. Like we're still besties,
Yep, yep, yep.
but they weren't really in now majority of them are
Mhm.
into entrepreneurship, but back then they
Really?
weren't.
That's
They
really
were they
that's
were doing their
rare.
yeah,
That's
they were
rare.
doing their own careers and their own things. And so like the idea of me doing my own thing was like,
Mhm.
oh, like really? Are you sure you want to do that? So my circle back then looked a lot different. And then when I had started the co-working space with my friends,
Mhm.
we all were creatives in different ways. So I mostly had was working on photography and graphic design. Another one of the founders, she's a famous food photographer.
Yep, yep,
She's still doing food photography. Her pieces are all over the place. It's
yep.
really cool. Another one was also a photographer. She specializes in like geeky weddings and geeky portraits and things like that. And then our other friend is a videographer.
Uh-huh.
And so I had them, and it was really encouraging to have them. We were all trying to figure out how to grow together at the same time. But I didn't have, even though I had support, I didn't have a higher level of mentorship that I needed until I met Pedro.
Mhm.
And so I'm very grateful for the circles that I had at those times in my life because that's what kept me from being depressed and it kept me going in many ways. And I think that's important to recognize is that your circles are going to change over time.
Yep.
It's not going to be the same group of people that you went to college with or you grew up with. It's going to shift over time. And even for me right now in the season of my life, it's shifting again. And so when I met Pedro, I paid him to be a mentor and then I ended up working with him. And naturally, because I've been working with him, we built a very strong friendship and relationship. And we have been doing life together now for 7 years. I think this year makes
Mhm.
7 years. And
Mhm.
um and he's challenged me in a lot of different ways. Like he's an eight-figure entrepreneur. And so now it's like, okay, I went from barely making money, negative in the thousands, to making six figures. And now my next goal is I want to hit my first seven figures. I help everybody else get there. But now it's my turn, right? And so he challenges me to think bigger and
Mhm.
to start
Mhm.
reshifting my mindset and doing that. And now that he's in my circle, like I've been introduced to other high level people
Mhm.
and so it's shifting, right? It
Mhm.
shifts with the seasons, and I think you have to be okay with that that new ebb and flow of things.
Yeah. How do you um how do you deal with and maybe especially in the at the beginning with insecurities like
Mhm.
you know that things that actually like that stops you from doing
Yeah.
the thing that actually moves the needle in the favor.
I'm still working on this.
Yep.
If I were to be completely honest, I'm still working on this. I'm about to, I don't know when I'll post this. I've been working on a Facebook post to talk about this very thing because I had a really big mindset shift at this most recent conference that I spoke at. I'll save that. But I've been growing through the insecurities over the years. I've definitely been challenging these insecurities over the last 7 years since really meeting Pedro and stepping into the marketing space and seeing the marketing space and even with working with the people that I'm working with, like I and this is gonna sound crazy. People are gonna be like, really? But for me, I'm like, man, it's crazy that I'm designing for these 7 to 8 figure, sometimes 9 figure entrepreneurs,
Yep.
and I haven't hit that point. And so, I'm kind of like I feel like an imposter in some ways because I'm
Hmm.
like I'm nowhere near that level, but I'm
Hmm.
helping them get to that level. And so there's insecurity attached with that. And then,
Hmm.
I'm introverted, which also really surprises people. I've always been introverted.
That's very
Anytime I
interesting.
take personality tests, I'm always introverted. I'm an INFJ if any of you guys do the Myers-Briggs test. And so I naturally kind of like to stay behind the scenes. Like I like to stay hidden. I like to stay behind the scenes. And it's only been recently where I've really started to come out of my shell and be like, okay, I have a moral responsibility to share what I love with the world and make this world a better place. If I'm frustrated seeing the injustices that I'm seeing, it's my responsibility, if I have a solution, to bring that solution to the forefront. And I need to stop hiding and I need to start getting out there. And so it's a big mindset shift for sure. But then it's like it's not only the mindset shift, then you have to actually like walk into that and actually take action and
Yep.
do those things. So to be honest, I know it's kind of like a long-winded answer. I'm still working on this stuff. I am still fighting many insecurities
Yep.
as a female. I've also had a lot of securities about like my self-esteem and my appearance and my weight. That's been a really big thing. And so I've really wrestled with being in the front because I don't like being like on photos and videos and stuff like that. And so I'm even like working the courage to get out more in front of people and showing myself more. And I think there's a part of it too for a while where I was afraid of being seen because I was afraid, and you and I kind of talked about this before we hopped on, like being afraid of what other people think.
Hmm.
And with social media, I'm like, I don't want to deal with haters and trolls and all these, like, I don't want to deal with that in my life. Like
Yep.
I just want to have like a good group of people that encourage and follow me. And thankfully, I haven't dealt with any of that stuff yet. Majority of the people that I kind of attract to my social media and audience have been very awesome and lighthearted and amazing and encouraging, and I hope to keep that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the insecurity thing. I feel like you might work on that your entire life, you know? I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Well, with the insecurity, it's consistent, process to deal with this. Um, there are those type of voices that still keep talking about like, that you are not like, who you are, that you are talking to those people, like, awesome people that I'm able to interview now on this show, for example. And, be in front of other people, what I'm like, why I'm even like it's coming to, if I'm even worthy of that and these type of things, right?
Hmm.
But the thing is that what drives me is that I want to help so many people also. And this is
Hmm.
my like bigger that biggest like vision, helping people and secure my family also, right? So this is
Hmm.
like those two biggest pieces that actually like those motivations that keeps me going every day. And I have a girlfriend. We are already like 8 years together, and we didn't get married yet because I just said that I'm going to first be able to take care about us
Hmm.
properly, to be able to bring family, um, and that's basically like what I'm heading with, and also like do the impact. I love helping people. I'm here always for everybody to help if they have any questions, any problems. Always like I'm here to hear you and figure out a way that I can help. But I think the motivation of this is bigger than actually those insecurities, and so
Mhm.
that's what is like for me. Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
No,
That's cool.
yeah, well, um, so would you say that you stepping out to who you are, like looking back now, what did that moment woke woke up in you when you have, like realized when we've been talking at the beginning, or at the beginning of this question, like what was like what that moment woke up in you, uh, when when it comes to the vision that you are going and heading to.
I feel like that moment it appears in different seasons, right? Like
Mhm.
I had it going from high school to college. And then I had it when I was trying to figure out the graphic design thing, and doing photography. And then I had it when I graduated from the graphic design program and then wanted to freelance, right? I keep kind of hitting this very pivotal like point in different parts of my life. And to be honest, I'm feeling it right now. Like I
Mm.
this is another post that I have lined up for my Facebook. I have definitely been feeling that I'm in a season of shifting. And you've probably noticed it too. Like I'm speaking a lot more. I'm
Yeah.
getting in a lot of different groups trying to train and equip. And I've been behind the scenes for so long, and some people know about me, but like some people are also like, what you design for like all that like these people. And so I'm like, I need to get out there. Like it's time to get out there. And so I definitely feel like I'm in that moment of time now where I have to take action to shift into this new season of my life and what I really want it to look like. I'm 37 years old, and my husband and I we're figuring out like moving. We're figuring out if we want to start a family. And I kind of hit this point a few months ago, where I was like, I can't keep doing what I'm doing because I'm working 12 to 14 hours a day. I'm getting to the point where I could probably hit really severe creative burnout if I don't push pause and stop what I'm doing. I'm really good at what I do, but like, I'm such a workaholic. I've been such a workaholic that
Yeah,
like I
I can
don't
feel it.
rest.
Yeah, but I can feel it so much because like I
Okay.
don't know how that happened, but we are like
Right?
really, really similar in so many
Yeah.
things. So crazy.
And it's awful for us. That's the thing is
Right.
like it's not good for us to be
Yeah,
that way.
yeah.
But like I don't know what it is. And a lot of creative people are like this, where it's just like we I don't know, maybe because like we love what we do in some ways and like it comes from the heart in some ways. Maybe like I don't know what it is, but I just hit this point a few months ago where I was like, I can't keep living my life like this, especially if we want to have a family. Like we can't do this. And then for me, I'm trying to heal my body. I'm trying to get healthier. My sleep absolutely sucks. If anybody follows me, I'm constantly posting about my sleep and how awful it is. And so, my functional medicine doctor is like, you have to figure out what's stressing you out in your life. And so I got one of these smart rings. I just made a TikTok about this yesterday, and I've been tracking my stress to see like when I'm getting stressed. And like I've
Mm.
been tracking it for about like the last, I would say like month and a half, 2 months now it's been. And there are times when I'm working where my stress like goes
Mhm.
up quite a bit. And so I'm being more conscious of that now. But I would say this year so far, I've it's really been hitting me where I'm like, now is the time for me to really change what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, what I'm charging, who I'm working with, what my offers are, what I want my life
Mhm.
to look like. And to be like completely honest, we haven't even really talked about AI or anything, but like we're entering this AI era. I just finished writing a book. I'm working on like finishing the
Ooh.
designing and stuff. It should be coming out on my goal was to get it done this month. That's not happening. I decided to add more stuff to it. So next month it should be out. But my whole book is about branding in a AI
Ooh.
era and staying
Nice.
authentic in an
Nice.
AI era. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. But AI is getting better faster like way faster than I even think many of us anticipate. And it's already killing a lot of creative careers and
Mhm.
really getting into the creative space. And even though I personally think it will increase the value of creativity.
Mhm.
It's going to increase the value of human, handmade,
Mhm.
handcrafted sort of stuff at the same time. Like it's that dual reality of like, it's going to increase the value of very human things, but it's also going to kill a lot of stuff. And if creatives don't learn AI, they're going to get left behind. Like that's a whole nother thing. But for me, I'm like, man, like, what do I want my life to look like now? But what do I want it to look like 2 years from now?
Mhm.
If AI gets to this crazy point, like I want to do more human stuff. And I think I want to go back to like opening up my coffee shop that I've always wanted to do. And so like I'm
Yeah.
even thinking ahead of time with
Mhm.
stuff like that. So it's fun. I feel like everyone has those moments. I don't know about you. I'd be interested to hear from you. Like do you have those moments of time where you're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I have to pivot and I have to shift.
Well, I would say not at this stage yet. I'm very
Hmm.
focused doing the things that I'm supposed to do to make the progress going. And
Hmm.
that's what I would say because year ago I joined a coaching program. I took
Hmm.
it, haven't got the money,
Hmm.
right? So, and for those who listening, the price is never an issue.
Hmm.
You can always, if the person is open to it, you can always figure out how to create the pricing model somehow that is going to fit you and what you can actually afford if the
Hmm.
person is willing to do that. So there is like, and most of the people they do, uh,
That's true.
right? So there is no problem in this type of piece. So most of the people just think before they act, and that's the issue. So and that moment literally like streamlined my whole process like when I joined the coaching program, and I start figuring out things that I supposed to really like how it all works together because I've been like 5 years just a mess. It was like everything around. I haven't been doing the correct things. I've been just studying and buying low ticket middle ticket products, so I have like stack of them, but nothing really makes sense how it all fits together.
Hmm.
So now, after joining the high ticket program, it gave me the whole clarity, and now I'm really focused on every like what
Hmm.
is actually needs to be done to make uh this work,
Hmm.
right? So, but I'm sure over time there's going to be this type of moments because
Yeah.
we all and like as entrepreneurs we always like we're looking for different type of opportunities and things that are around and have those type of yeah completely
Yeah.
understandable. You know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. um but I would love to actually hear from you um when you found a funnels and designing together combine, what that meant to you and how that yeah how it affected your type of life that now you are living basically.
Yeah, so I didn't really know much about funnels. Actually, before I met Pedro, I had started getting ads from Russell Brunson, and he was running this campaign back then that websites are dead, funnels are the new thing. And I'm sure if you go to YouTube, you guys can find the old ads that he ran. And it was like, having a funeral for like a website and like all this stuff. And so I remember like watching some of his things and starting to learn the concept of funnels, but I wasn't really sure. And because I was doing websites now as a part of my business, I was like, I don't know about that. It's probably just another marketing thing, whatever. And so when I had learned about Russell and I had learned about funnels, I was aware of the Two Comma Club Award and what that meant. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I was doom scrolling and the copy from Pedro stopped me, it wasn't just the copy, it was him holding a Two Comma Club Award that got my attention. And so when I started working with Pedro, he actually was like, hey, because you have experience as a website designer, I actually think you'll be a really good funnel designer. You should start learning funnels. And I was like, okay, yeah, give me access to your ClickFunnels account and I'll figure it out. So I hopped in there and I was like, oh, this is easy. It's just
Yeah.
like what I was designing in WordPress. It's a drag and drop. It's a what you see is what you get drag and drop builder.
Yeah.
And so I just started playing inside of his ClickFunnels account and when I first started working for him, I only designed for him like once, maybe every other. It was very minimal because he wasn't big and famous then. And so I would go in his account, I would play with it, I would kind of learn what I can do, what I can't do, and he would teach me along the way. So he would be like, "Hey, make this funnel." And then when we started doing challenges, not, I mean, people weren't, Russell was the only one that was really running challenges back then. So I would look at his funnel and I would funnel hack his funnel to figure out like what he's doing and
Yeah.
how to do it. And so I was able to use my design experience and my graphic design experience, but then my website design experience to start learning how to do funnel design. And with time comes practice. So as things started picking up, I started practicing some more. And what ended up happening was I was designing a lot of the stuff in Adobe because that's what I was trained to do. And one of my friends, she has a podcast and she was starting to step into the entrepreneurship sort of thing too. And I remember her texting me and being like, "Have you heard of Canva? I just started playing with Canva and I designed my own podcast cover and I designed my own podcast graphics in minutes. It's amazing." And she's like, "I didn't have to spend all this money on a designer." And I'm just sitting there like, "Oh no, like this is
Yeah.
gonna this is gonna put me out of business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever the software is gonna put me out of
Yeah.
business." So I started looking into Canva and I hated it at first. I was like,
Mhm.
this sucks. It's not nowhere near as good as, Adobe is.
Yeah.
But then what started happening was I would design stuff for Pedro, and if changes needed to be made, he or somebody on the team would have to come to me, and then I would have to make the changes and then put it in the funnel. And when he got really well known, and I mean, he like things blew up for him very fast. Like he was like, "You need to go full time with me. I'm letting you know now. You either go full time with me or I'm hiring somebody to go full time with me." And I was like, "I'm going with you, bro."
Mhm.
And we worked so. I mean,
Mhm.
it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy when I think about it. I'm like, it probably wasn't healthy for any of us, but like we were just working nonstop. And so what I ended up kind of learning and realizing along the way was that the way I was doing things with the graphics wasn't really working. It was actually
Mhm.
taking up way more of my time. It wasn't working to the speed I needed to work at. So I started building stuff in Canva because Canva would allow you to share with other people on the team and then they can edit.
Yeah.
And so I kind of learned along the way, oh my gosh, I could be more productive. This is more effective. Other people on the team can help me with my job and we could get things done faster. I could plug these graphics into the funnel. And anytime we need to make changes, if I'm not around, somebody else can do it and they could put it in the funnel. And so I kind of learned along the way, like these time-saving hacks and these things that I could do to make the process more efficient. And so it's been a lot of fun getting to do that over the years and learning even more. And now ClickFunnels 2.0, the newer version of ClickFunnels, it's a lot faster. It's a
Mhm.
lot easier. I'm saving even more time in there. I'm having a lot more fun designing in there. I love it. It's been a lot of fun getting to like use my design background and then also create funnels at the same time.
Yeah. 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 It seems like that you found the best combination that actually fits you. So it's so much fun to see what you are capable of doing actually with those tools. You know,
Hmm.
but you had to become the person before you could do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
actually, yeah, so amazing. Um, and also, Pedro was always doing challenges, or when you've been there, he's been doing something different when you've been actually studying with him, or.
When I first met him, so he was more in the financial world when I first met him, and
Mhm.
and and then he had started kind of pivoting into the faith, that what we call kingdom entrepreneurship, which is just like a faith-based, like Christian
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. I say Christian because a lot of people don't understand kingdom, but anyways, he deemed it like kingdom entrepreneurship, and he had a financial part of his business. Like he's one of the best life insurance agents, and
Mhm.
helping people retire. He wrote a book. Like he made
I didn't even
his two
know.
comma club. Yeah, his two comma club award that he had in that first image. He got from a free plus shipping book funnel with this book called Retired and Free. And so he was doing financial stuff, but then he wanted to kind of see if there was anyone else out there like him who likes faith and entrepreneurship. So then he started kind of doing that. That part of the business blew up. So then he was like, well, I'm going to start serving people who love Jesus and want to do business. And so then
Mhm.
that
Yep.
became a really big thing.
Mhm.
And he really focused on that. And then that's when we started doing the challenges to get people into that membership. And it's evolved over time. So because we got well known for challenges, we did challenges for, I mean, almost to, about 2 years. It was about 2 years, and now he's not doing as much of a challenge stuff. He's actually going back to the wealth space.
Nice.
And so because I mean he's really good at that. He can do it. I mean he's really good at a lot of things, but he's really good at the wealth stuff. So he's going back over to that space now. He's not doing as many challenges these days. Now he's doing more workshops and webinars and things like that, master classes.
Yeah.
But we're about to do. We just launched like our first evergreen funnel, which is kind of crazy because most of the stuff we built has been like so like quick and it's been mostly like virtual events or
Yeah.
challenges. And now it's like, oh, we have a funnel that we're running all the time. And like
Yeah.
that's been really fun. And we have a few other funnels that we have planned in the works, and we're going to be doing some book funnels here pretty soon. So we're going to be doing
You
more,
went from
but
you went from
yeah.
launching strategist
Mhm.
to evergreen, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's crazy because like he is, I mean, he's still known as the challenge guy.
Yep.
And so in many ways, like we pioneered what challenge funnels look like today and what challenge graphics look like today. Like we didn't have examples to work from. Like we created that stuff. So it
Yeah.
is kind of fun, like being like,
Exactly.
oh, I had a big part in this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So powerful also. You know, but I think I would wrap here up. I think I enjoyed it so much. You are so amazing. I love it.
You're awesome too.
Super cool. Also, yeah, I wanted to say something to that point that you brought to that he blew up so fast.
Hmm.
The thing why it happened is that he been able to stick in the marketplace long enough to figure out when to blow up. So he basically figured out the whole piece, like whole different ways that didn't work, and he figured out the one thing that actually worked. Most people giving up too soon to actually make it work. And that's the one of the biggest mistakes most of the people do because they don't understand that instead of keeping on doing the thing that they because the okay, let's back up. You have a three things that you have to like there is the three principles that are behind everything is a be do have. Most of the people have them the other way around,
Hmm.
right? So they because they see that somebody have something, they want to do the thing that they do and they want to have that thing, but they have never become. And that's the issue. You have to first become, then do the thing long enough to actually make it work. But you have to become first. So if you swap before you actually figure out the way that um you that actually going to work, you will switch the opportunity or whatever, but you forget that you're going to have to become again first to be able to do the thing. So it's like a consistent process of doing this, and it's not leading anywhere unless to burnout and these type of things. And I've
Hmm.
been guilty of that also.
Same.
So yeah. But that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for being here. I love this conversation. It was so much fun. Before I let you go, I want to give you last question, which is
Oh.
if that would be this podcast, this interview would be your last that you would ever done, what would you love to leave? Like a message for everybody who's listening or for anybody you know?
Wow. That's a good question. Dang, you just laid on heavy at the end. Um, if this was the last thing, like last podcast, I I want to encourage people. So if you don't believe you're creative, I'm here to rewire your brain and remind you that you are creative. I truly believe that every single person is born creative. We're just on untaught creativity as we get older. And I really believe creativity is woven in our DNA. That's one of the most beautiful things about being human is our creative nature. And we see it in nature all the time too. And so if you are ever feeling down, depressed, burnt out, anything like that, I want you to take time to start rediscovering your creativity. And what that often looks like for people is bringing back the joy of playing and the joy of having wonder and the joy of having imagination. And so most of the time, because we forget to do those things, or in some cases because people think it's really childish to do those things. I want you to take the time to actually do it. Go get a Lego set and build a Lego set. Even if you haven't done it since you were a little kid, and if maybe you grew up playing with Play-Doh and you haven't done that in 30 years, go get some Play-Doh and go have fun, or build a puzzle, or go to a museum, or dance in the rain, or go do karaoke, or there's so many different creative things that you could do to have fun again. And so don't forget that feeling. I want you to actually intentionally take the time to go out with yourself and rediscover your creativity and just block out all the noise as well. And you're going to notice, I promise you guys, as crazy as it sounds, you will notice significant changes when you actually take time to reinstill creative practices back into your life. You're going to notice that more things are falling into alignment for you as well. So I want to leave you with that, and I want to encourage you guys with that as well.
So amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and sharing all the
Welcome.
wisdom that you brought with you. It's just my pleasure to have you here. And for everybody who's listening, okay, one more thing, where people can find you and support you or you can help them.
Also a great question. I'm on Facebook. You can look me up, Alyssa Aviles. On Instagram, I'm the Lovely Liss. On TikTok, I'm the Lovely Liss. On YouTube, I'm the Lovely Liss. Most of the social media stuff, I'm the Lovely Liss. If any of you guys are on Pinterest, I am also on there. I think it's under List Designs because I couldn't get my handle name on there for whatever reason. But I love to pin different things. So if you're looking for design inspiration, color inspiration, typography inspiration, Pinterest is a really good place to go to. And then I have my own community where I teach people about graphic design and branding and funnels, and we get to geek out about this stuff. And I get to teach people what I love and help them with their own graphics and things. And I'm kind of changing it a little bit more into a more of like a group coaching mentorship program versus just content consuming.
Yep.
That's a whole nother conversation that we can
Yep.
have. But I absolutely love my community. I love my group. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot in the process with it. We are about to celebrate our 1 year anniversary. So if that sounds fun and interesting to you, you could check that out as well. It's called Higher Calling Creative Club. And that is it. And my website is thelovelylist.com.
Yeah. Do you have already some websites with your book upcoming?
Not yet. I'm building my funnel for
Okay.
it.
Okay.
But
Not
if
yet.
you follow me on social media, you'll see it.
Amazing. Perfect. Thank you so much for being here. And for everybody who's listening, if this stirs something in you, don't ignore it. Share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe, leave a review. And remember, you weren't born to follow the script. You were born to be free. Bye, everybody.